And the race is getting underway. Straight away, we're into the action. And Sam Hancock from pole position in car number 66 is leading the way, but he's under a bit of threat, there's no doubt about it, into the first corner at Abbey. Oh, it's all getting a bit tight through there. Then we've got a complete turnaround as they all head back out. He lost out quite considerably. It's the number 124, Roger Wills, who was on the outside of the front row, who has actually taken the advantage and proved very, very effective through the first couple of corners. These conditions are tricky, as you can see.
And it's Richard Bradley in second place in the other Lotus 15. They're such nimble cars, and the bigger Lister Jaguars not really able to get the power down and up towards the tighter section of the track as the cars stream through. What a great start as well. No problems at all for anyone as they head down the Wellington Straight for the first time, and it's still Roger Wills leading, and in that second place the other Lotus 15. Then it's the two of the Listers. D-type Jaguar there we can see as well.
So Sam Hancock, I think, is in second place, the man who started from pole position, or is it actually? No, I don't think it is. He's dropped back. He did drop back a little bit more than that, didn't he? So it's still Roger Wills who's got the advantage. Cars running out a little bit wide as they come out of Luffield. Number 6 there coming through, and that is the car of James Cottingham and Harvey Stanley. But our race leader has made a little bit of a getaway, no doubt about it.
Yep, and Richard Bradley right in behind him in a similar car, the Lotus 15, and a spin for Fred Wakeman. Now he's a potential winner of his section of the race, the Woodcote Trophy, so that'll be really putting a dent in his hopes. But back with the leaders again up at Beckett's, and it's still Roger Wills leading, but now we've got a change for second place with the Lister getting through ahead of Richard Bradley.
Yeah, and so we are on for a pretty exciting encounter here, I think, once more as they head down the long straight and down towards Stay.
It's actually Chris Ward who's come up into second place, all the way up from row 3. So a great drive from Chris. And then it's the 66 Sam Hancock car in fourth place.
Yeah, Sam Hancock's making good progress as well, isn't he, in these very tricky wet conditions. But I have to say, I'm impressed with what Roger Wills is doing, maintaining his advantage out in front at this point, and seeing if he can't add a little bit more to the advantage he has gained. The number 6 car, the James Cottingham machine, is part of this group as well. Number 2 trying to get involved. No, sorry, it wasn't the number 2 car, was it?
Martin O'Connell, yes.
Right, Martin O'Connell,
up there in another of Sandy Watson's cars, and just ahead actually is the Alex Brundle car, number 58. We'll check which helmet's in that car, because Alex has only just got out of the T70. I wonder whether Gary might have taken the first stint, because he should have been in the second stint in the previous race. Yeah,
quite likely that Gary, I would think, might be out in this stint. A few changes further down the order as well. The conditions getting a bit gloomy out there as we look out of our commentary box window and seeing the lights, headlights flashing away. They really are showing up as the evening gets a little bit darker. I hope the rain holds off. There are still some fairly big clouds around. Big slide, just about held under control by Chris Ward in second position there. The lights ablaze and putting on a wonderful show. We gather it's not Brundle in the car at the moment, which is no great surprise. It's Gary Pearson, just been told, because Brundle was rather busy in the last one. So look how close it's getting up front now. It could be a change around coming here as Chris Ward puts the pressure on Roger Wills.
And Chris Ward, the only driver of one of the bigger engine cars who's been able to get the car. A big slide there for Chris Ward. Another big slide as he goes out of Woodcote Corner, but he's the only one of the bigger engine cars that's managed, the only driver who's managed to get up near the front to challenge the little Lotus Lotus 15s just ahead of them, Roger Wills and Richard Bradley.
Yeah, there's no doubt the Listers are tricky cars to drive in the wet, but you've got to say that Chris is doing a fantastic job in second place of just about holding on to the balance of it. Jaguar powered machine, and in amongst the Lotuses. The Lotuses taking full advantage of this rather slippery surface, the nimbleness of the Lotus and the controllability really helping in these wet conditions, and the Listers are fighting it a little harder. Lots of car control required, and Chris is managing it so far. Lights ablaze, chasing down in second place. Bit of sideways action up behind them as well. We saw the James Cottingham car getting a bit out of shape, running down in 4th place at the moment. Martin O'Connell, the Gary Pearson car shared with Alex Brundle. Brundle will be taking over later. That's now in 6th place. Sam Hancock down to 7th position. And a few other people to keep an eye on as well. Oh yeah, we've got a car off over there. Just you spotted that one, Alistair, well done. Just touched into the barrier.
It was a D-type, didn't catch the number, but one of the D-types in the barrier there on the approach to Club Corner. That's the HWM Jaguar. Looks like that's being driven.
I think Martin Stretton.
Martin Stretton, yes, with the green helmet. The
class leader at the moment in their particular category. So that's working well for 545, running 11th overall, but leading their particular category apparently. Oh, big spin just up ahead of them in the 45 car, Mark Cole in the Lotus 11, but thankfully everyone was able to avoid him. And our race leader, Roger, is setting the pace out in front. That is a beautiful car though, isn't it? That 545 machine with Martin Stretton at the wheel.
It actually overtook me on the way into the circuit on Thursday. It was being driven on the road. Howled past me on the dual carriageway as we've got a battle for the lead. Yes, we've got Chris Ward going through into the lead under braking for Brooklands, with Roger Wills dropped down into 2nd place in the Lotus. So Lister leads Lotus leads Lotus now, with Chris Ward, Roger Wills, then Richard Bradley next up, and then it's James Cottingham in the Tajiro Jaguar.
Yeah, and followed up by the number 2 car of Cottingham and Stanley, but they go side by side and he retakes the lead once again. So once again Roger Wills manages to get back in front. Somewhere the Lotus works, somewhere the Lister works. The Lister's coming back in a straight line, that's where it's got the horsepower, but you get to the corner and the Lotus has the advantage. It's lovely to see. Really good battle, head to head between two quite different cars in terms of their style, not dissimilar in terms of their age. They're both cars from the late 1950s, but one's light and lesser powered, down to 2nd place now, and actually coming under pressure from the other Lotus directly behind.
Absolutely, yeah. Richard Bradley seems to have caught up with Roger Wills, and Richard Bradley taking that slightly wider wet line, as we've been calling it, and he comes up half alongside Roger Wills. Roger Wills is in trouble, I think. He's got his hand up, but seems to be staying ahead, so that usually means that he's got a mechanical problem. Lights
went out and then came back on again.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what was going on. He has given up a place, I think, now, but the car still seems to be running at a decent pace, so he obviously had a bit of a scare at some moment. Maybe there was a sudden cut out and then it came back on.
Yeah,
he's going well, look.
Yeah, gone side by side with Richard Bradley all the way around Stowe, and now into Club Corner, and Stowe.
Yellow's safety car, right, okay. Whether they had already had the message.
Yes, I wonder whether Roger saw a yellow flag.
Yeah, it does look as though he may well have done. We didn't actually see the signal come up on our screen straight away, but he may well have seen the yellow flags being handed out, and that was what he was indicating to. Number 66 car just heading around there, Sam Hancock in another of the Listers, but we shall see what they managed to do with the safety car. Clearly, I think there must be, we do know there was a car off on the approach to Club. It was sort of on the Vale end. I don't quite know, may well have been a car that lost it out of Stowe and then had a big moment that took it a long way along. Whether that's the car that they want to recover, I'm not sure, but clearly there is some work to be done, and that's why they, oh yeah, that is the car you saw, Alistair. It is car number 12. It's the Steve Brooks Martin O'Connell car. So Martin is due to drive 2 cars in this race. Steve Brooks started out in this D-type 1955 car. We didn't see exactly what happened. I think that probably would have started at Stowe, don't you?
Yeah, I do, yes. And he's spun coming out of Stowe, and then it's ended up
on the inside,
all the way over there.
I've seen that before, yeah. You run wide out of Stowe, you sort of half correct it, slide, and then it hits back onto the inside, quite a lot further down the road.
Yeah. We're the safety car telling the Maserati to pass.
Yeah.
Because that's a car that's not in the lead battle, so he's allowed to go ahead, and that puts the leading car immediately behind the safety car now, which is what they want.
And I think the pit lane is about to open. We shall see. And that will be an opportunity for some people then to come in. Maybe there's a few minutes more before the pit lane opens.
It was 15 minutes, wasn't it, from the start? And we've only had 10
minutes so far, yeah. Sometimes we've seen today already, with the safety cars out and the pit lane opens, it really can be an advantage to some and a disadvantage to others. But you're right, it's not open yet. We've got a few minutes more. For those, if the timing works for them, if we're still behind safety car, there could be a gain to be made to do the pit stop under safety car conditions. But it is the Lister that is now following the safety car, the car that is leading this race. Chris Ward, very good first opening laps there, dealing with Roger Wills, who had the initial advantage off the start. Now let's take a look at the start again, Alistair, because this was all quite exciting, wasn't it? Wasn't it great? Sam Hancock, I thought, got away well initially in his Lister, but it didn't quite work for him. And round the outside went Roger. We had a 3 abreast going through Abbey. Roger did a fantastic job there and emerged in front of that little group, didn't he? And the Listers were clearly struggling more on the slippery surface, as the Lotuses showed that they had the dexterity to nip round these corners so quickly.
And Richard Bradley tried to go around the outside, and now he's trying to go up the inside of Roger Wills, but that didn't work. Roger just kept his car exactly where he wanted it to, and 1 or 2 losing out at the loop there. Just so much traffic going through that they can't take the line they want to. But as I said at the time, that really was excellent driving from these drivers, because so difficult.
Yeah,
no contact at all. And Roger Wills there making his way down into Brooklands, leading the race on this replay.
Yeah, the Listers were definitely a handful on that opening lap. You could see several of them struggling. Martin Stretton went a bit deep into Brooklands as well. But the Lotuses were working superbly well, making the most of that initial advantage. And then it was just a little bit later that we saw Chris Ward really getting it together with his Lister and beginning to put a bit more pressure on again. The Jaguars also having some fun and games. We've got both C-types and D-types in this race. Some of the most classic Jaguar sports racing cars of all time. Safety car out though at the moment, and leading this field around, glowing in the darkening light of this Saturday evening of the Classic, leading into the final day tomorrow, where we're going to see another huge number of very dramatic races, I am sure. Who knows what the weather's going to bring us tomorrow. Today's been a very changeable day. Alex Brundle getting ready. There he is with his dad, Martin, checking out some timings and waiting to see when the pit lane will be open. We're about 2 minutes away, I think, from the pit lane being released.
A little bit of fatherly guidance there, a nice smile from Martin to Alex. Probably just saying, take it easy out there, it's a bit slippy. And Martin's done a few races in the rain, hasn't he?
Yeah, always very quick in the wet, actually, wasn't he?
Of course, a Le Mans winner as well, Martin Brundle. And some demonstrative movements of his arm.
Both of them are both great racers and great commentators, of course, as well. Alex Brundle does a lot of commentary nowadays as well on Formula 2 and Formula 3, as well as being a very effective man behind the steering wheel. So, a good combination. And we'll see him out in a little while. Gary Pearson is currently driving the car that they share. It is the number 58 car. It is running in 6th place, so yeah, it's got another chance of getting a decent performance here today.
And the car running in 2nd place, well, we're just looking now at one of the cars midfield. That's the 38 car, which is in the Stirling Moss Trophy. That's Anthony Ditheridge, who will hand over to Nick Topless. The Cooper Monaco, that's the car at the back of these two. And the one ahead is actually in the other race, the Woodcote Trophy, and that's Carlos Miguens in the Cooper Jaguar T38.
Yeah, we were just looking at that, weren't we?
We were, yeah. This is the Maserati, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely cars. They're very different, obviously, to some of the others out there, but these are the much earlier cars, very sort of delicate machines. The Cooper Jag, as you say, and the Maserati as well. So we'll see how they get on the latter stages. They're not going to be as quick as some of these more feisty monsters, particularly the Listers, but as we've seen, it's the Lotus 15s that are going so well in these conditions. It looks like they've got that car out of the way. It has got a bit of damage to the right front, I'm afraid. but the marshals doing another superb job, and hands up to the marshals today. A very, very long day. Oh, we've got somebody else pulling off.
That's the Lotus 10. Number 10 always runs as number 10. That's Malcolm Paul and Rick Bourne.
Now that's going to have to be rescued, which is going to mean the safety car is going to be out for longer than we were thinking. The time is ticking by. The pit window is open now, has just opened a few seconds ago. I've not seen many people in the pits yet. It's partly because they're not at that part of the track, of course. They're on another part of the track, that's why. So I think at the end of this lap you'll certainly see quite a few start to come into the pits.
And we've lost our leader, have we had some come in the pits? Yes, we're getting the up on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, some have gone in, some haven't.
There is the car that Alex Brundle's going to take over from Gary Pearson.
Busy couple of hours for Alex Brundle.
Amazing, isn't it, to do all these laps, different cars. Let's see how they get on with this. Number 20 car has also pulled in. That's Rudy Friedrichs. He's not swapping with anybody in the Jaguar C-Type.
Bonnet up on the...
Yeah, I wonder what that's about. Maybe Gary experienced a bit of a problem. They've got a misfire, or they are making a bit of an adjustment, or perhaps it's just a settings adjustment, change of roll bar setting or something, I don't know.
There isn't anything about these engines that Gary Pearson doesn't know, so he will have known in the car if he wanted to make an adjustment that would improve it for Alex. Mechanic there. Are they just taping up the brake ducts, perhaps just giving him a bit more brake temperature? You can see the mechanic on the far side with some tape.
Getting ready to go again. Getting the bodywork attached. And away he goes. Yeah, and in fact the two cars all coming out at the same time. They obviously all came in at the same time, and now they're being released. So is it the advantage to make the earlier pit stop? We'll find out, no doubt, pretty soon.
And was that stop for Gary Pearson and Alex Brundle longer than it needed to be for those adjustments? Yeah, we'll find out when they start to settle into their positions on track again.
Another D-type there, that's the number 4 car of Chris and Nick Ball. D-type short nose, as that one is known. That's the 3.4 litre engine. The straight 6, that Jaguar straight 6 engine that was so successful in so many different cars over the years. And still behind the safety car, we have that other machine that pulled off to the track, the Lotus 10. So this has changed the positions, of course, because several people have stopped, but not everybody. So that does change the order now. It means that number 21 is now the leader of this race, but is due to make a pit stop. So the Richard Bradley Lotus 15, the green car, is now leading this race. And Sam Hancock's moved up to second. Moving up into third place has come the number 170 car of Peter Ratcliffe, another of the listers. And also up there is the number 144, Paul Postgil and James Hansen, Jaguar D-type.
And one of the two Martins racing in this race that was going to do a double stint, Martin O'Connell, won't now be taking over that D-type that hit the wall.
Yeah.
But Martin Stretton is due to race 2 cars. He'll be in the Maserati, which we saw in the shot there. It is just going through shot now, the red car. He was out early on in the HWM Jaguar.
Well, it's a busy day for a number of drivers, there's no doubt about it. So safety car still out there. We haven't seen whether that other car got removed. We've still got 21 minutes to go. Safety car will be in at the end of the lap. And so we will see that light stop flashing on the top of the safety car shortly, although you've got a little bit of the lap to do.
I don't understand the tactics of not going in under the safety car, because Richard Bradley has to make his stop yet. And so does the second place car as well. That
it's far
Sam
better,
Hancock.
isn't it, to do it under safety,
absolutely,
safety car, because remember, you do the same stop time, but the cars are either going fast around you or they're going slowly around you. Now they're heading into the pits, this next group. Will they get their stop done? Because there's still quite a lot of the lap to do before they come back out. I think they will miss out a bit though, those who made their stops later on. We shall see.
Well, a lot dived in then, which was the last opportunity before the safety car goes in, because it's in at the end of this lap. So that's definitely compromised Richard Bradley's race, for staying out.
Well, we shall see how it all pans out, but it could make for an interesting end, as we've seen a couple of times already today, with the safety car has affected the outright order. And then we get some pretty dramatic finishes sometimes, because some of the front runners have been pushed back down and have to fight their way back up again. So we shall see. We'll find out soon. They've still got to come through the Beckett's section. Then as they come down the long straight, the lights will go out on the safety car and they will begin to pick up some pace.
Yes, Peter Snowden at the back of this group in a car that's not competitive at the front of the field, the Aston Martin, but he's also stayed out for this extra lap. But the safety car lights are out, Ben, so we are, as our graphic tells us, the safety car is in this lap, so it's into Stoke Corner now. It'll keep to the right hand side at the Vale and then pull into the pit lane, and that will hand control to Richard Bradley, who we suspect will maybe he'll follow the safety car in, but
well,
we'll see. He's not right up behind the safety car, is he?
No, and of course they're going to the other pits, aren't they? It's the other pits that they're
of course they're running
into.
in the old pits. Yes.
So
of course, yes.
Let's see. The race does get underway, and Richard Bradley is picking up the pace as they come through Club Corner, being chased now by the number 144 Jaguar D-Type of James Hansen, and opening up a little bit of a gap as they come across the line. But this situation could well change once the pit stops have been made. We are waiting for this little lead group to do their pit stops. They haven't done them yet, whereas the group that has made their pit stops did so under full safety car period, so they should still have a little bit more of an advantage. We'll find out, but he's certainly pushing on quite deep. There is Richard Bradley. We know this Lotus 15 is a suitable car in conditions like this. Whether he's going to be able to make up enough time when he then has to make the pit stop, we shall wait and see. Fastest lap in this race still belonging at the moment to Roger Wills, who was leading in the early stages. He has made his pit stop, and Roger could still be in a pretty good spot. He is the first of those that have made a pit stop so far, I believe. So Roger could find himself perhaps back in front in the Lotus.
Absolutely, yes, he is the first of the stoppers, as Richard Bradley will expect to peel in now and hand over to Michael Birch, another quick driver. So it was a good team, and there's the 82 car that was started by Chris Ward, now should be in the hands of Rob Smith through the long right-hander at Luffield.
It does look like these are the ones that will be battling for race victory, because they have made their pit stops. Now we're going to see a few more, I think, coming into the pits. The pit window is still open. I'm not sure if Bradley come in. I haven't seen yet whether he's actually pitted or not. I think he's still out there.
Yeah, it doesn't show on our screens as coming into the pits. We haven't got him on camera, but it's not shown as coming in. Some of those lead cars have come in. In fact, all but the first two have now come in, as far as we can see.
Yeah, they're staying out there that little bit longer, aren't they? But I think there's going to be a change around. Flashing lights and through the dusk here at Silverstone. But what is going to happen to complete this race? Two different classes, of course, that we're got to keep an eye on as well. And we'll, once these extra pit stops have been made by those that have not yet come in, we'll get a much clearer picture. There is car number 18 into the pits now, and that is the John Chisholm Sam Wilson car. So John is now taking over. It's the Lola Mark 1 from 1960. This is in the Stirling Moss group of cars. Very pretty little machine. Not one of the front runners as such, but still lovely to see it out there. And now we've got this gaggle of cars all fighting for positions. Number 82 car, that's definitely one to keep an eye on. Chris Ward was very quick in it earlier. Rob Smith is now behind the wheel.
And it looks as though Martin O'Connell has taken effectively the lead. He's the car number 2, just coming out of the gloom. It's difficult to see where the cars are with the headlights, but this group of 4 cars are the ones that are all in the net lead after the Bradley car goes into the pits.
Yeah, still waiting for it to go in the pits. There it is.
Yeah.
The green Lotus. In theory, we would expect it to be coming in at the end of this lap, perhaps. Coming into the national pits. Look at that, sliding it out right over the curb. He's certainly pushing on pretty hard, isn't he? But I do think that this car is going to drop right down the order once they've made the pit stop. Even though he's opened up a gap of some 10 seconds, it's been a really good restart for him.
And there's the car in second place. That's Martin O'Connell, still aboard.
And they have made their stop, haven't they?
They have, yes. And I think I did suspect that Martin would do the whole race in Sandy's car in the previous race, but actually I think Sandy took it over. This one, Martin seems to have done the whole race. And that car looks to be in a very strong position.
Yeah.
Do we see the pit stop board flash up for
Yes.
Richard Bradley? Yes.
So now it looks as though pretty much everybody has been into the pits. We're still waiting for the Hansen car, I believe, to come in. May well be doing it on this lap. And then we've got a clearer picture, and it's this car, number 2, Martin O'Connell. So there is the Lotus back into the pits, making a turnaround, but this is going to drop them quite a long way down the order. And the Hansen car has now pitted. Okay, so I think that is pretty much everybody now has made the pit stop and is either back out or just finishing off their pit stops. And we've got the new order, and it is Martin O'Connell leading in this car, number 2, the Lotus 11, 1500cc car from 2020. Now this is leading the race outright. It's also leading the Stirling Moss Trophy section of the race. And with the pit stop having been made by the Hansen car, let's just see. The first car, therefore, in the Woodcote Trophy, I think is the Martin Stretton car, number 545, which actually presumably is not Martin anymore. It would be Gregor Fiskin who would have taken over after their pit stop. Running in 9th place overall, but he is the first in the Woodcote class. These are 2 separate important trophy races which are combined into one here this weekend. So we do need to keep an eye on both victories, if you like, and see who comes out on top. This is a very dominant performance right now from Martin O'Connell, a very experienced racer and done a lot of historic racing in recent years. And this Lotus 11 is just floating along. Now there's the other car I was talking about, Alistair, which I believe is leading the Woodcote Trophy.
That's correct, yes, and that's no longer the green helmet of Martin Stretton, so we know now it's the owner of the car. That's Gregor Fiskin, who we had on an interview, didn't we? Which we saw Gregor being interviewed. He's leading the Woodcote Trophy, but don't count out the Wakeman Blakeney Edwards car, which spun early in the race. That's normally battling with Fiskin and in this car for the lead in that section, but we're back now to the overall leader and the leader of the Stirling Moss Trophy, and that is Martin O'Connell, driving Sandy Watson's Lotus 11 with just the 1500cc engine. Yet here he is in the lead of the race outright.
You can see how much he throws it into the corners. Really late brakes, very late indeed. But you're right, in the Woodcote Trophy, actually it is quite a close battle that is going on in that. Fiskin has got some pressure on him from behind from cars in the same category, so that could be quite close to the end. The number 16 car going through, Nick Wigley in the Cooper Bristol, a slightly different machine, and they're a little bit further down the order, but having some fun and games. Sam Hancock is quite a long way down the field now, down in 16th position, so he might be able to fight his way back up from there, whether they had additional problems. Well, they certainly had a bit of a difficult time at the start, and I think maybe the Lister just is a struggle in these conditions to handle correctly. There is our race leader then. Lotus seems to be the car to have when it's wet and slippery like this, whereas in the dry the Lister Jags definitely have the power advantage and can just about deal with the corners sufficiently.
Martin O'Connell handling that car really well. Martin, one of the many drivers who was making it in professional racing, but lack of money really just stopped him in his tracks, and he's now made a living from historic racing. He's got a preparation company, and he's a very good driver indeed. That Lotus, it's absolutely minimal, isn't it? The typical Chapman design, nothing is added to that car that isn't absolutely necessary. As we look now at Sam Hancock in that Lister.
The man who started from pole position.
Yeah.
And there he is, all the way down in 16th place now.
So it hasn't worked out well for him. Whether he can claim back some of that lost ground. Coming up behind the Keith Arler's car. And finding a way past fairly rapidly, I have to say. Actually, that is the Cooper Monaco. That's the Justin Mayer's Charlie Martin car he's just got past, I think. So he'd already dealt with Keith Arler's. So he is gaining places quite quickly. Next one on the list is the number 37 car to pass Peter Haynes in the Lotus 11. Yeah, you can just see it right there. Peter, I don't think is going to have quite the performance level. We'll see if he can fend him off for long. Sam cuts back and will get a quick exit, I think, take another position. So Sam Hancock is on a climb back up through the field. Now, that's interesting too. Grant Peterkin has just moved up into 7th place overall in the number 74 car, and I believe that means that puts him ahead in the Woodcote Trophy. So he's gone past Fiskin. So it is now the 74 car, Mike Grant Peterkin, in the HWM Sports Racing 9054 car that has taken the lead in the Woodcote Trophy. O'Connell here is still dominating outright and in the Stirling Moss Trophy.
And in the Woodcote Trophy, the third placed car, which is the one that spun very early on, now probably taken over by Patrick Blakeney-Edwards, is only a second back from that lead of the Woodcote Trophy.
Right, so that could be a potential victory as well. So that's an exciting, the Woodcote Trophy battle. It looks as though it could be close right up to the end. Yeah, the number 11 car is the Cooper T38 that we'll be watching for further down the order. Martin O'Connell is doing a wonderful job out in front here, maintaining that advantage. 7-second lead he has, although I have to say on that last lap, yeah, he was still quite a lot quicker than Roger Wills, who is running behind him. As you can see in terms of their lap times as well, Wills versus the car behind him was a little bit slower, so perhaps we're going to see a change there in the battle for second. But right now it's difficult to see anybody else other than Martin O'Connell winning this race outright and winning the Stirling Moss Trophy, but the Woodcote Trophy is going to be a closer battle.
And notice that 6th place is the John Spears Tiffany Dell car now. That was running a little bit further back early on in the race, wasn't it? That's a good recovery from them as well.
A very good recovery. They are in the Stirling Moss group as well, but a 6th place overall currently is a good effort from them after a difficult initial run. That is another of the Lister Jags, and a car that is a bit of a handful in these conditions, but it seems to be motoring along quite smoothly now. Look at the conditions, look at the darkness descending on us here at Silverstone. It really is. As I look out of our commentary box window, it's looking pretty gloomy out there, I have to say. Impressive to still see a few people in the grandstands enjoying the show. Thank you for staying with us and watching some of these magical cars being driven at high speeds on a very difficult surface, which got heavy rain a little bit before this race began. Most of the drivers are dealing with it very well indeed. There's the 3rd place car currently, and it's a 3-second gap in that fight for 2nd place, chasing after Roger Wills. So that's still good to be a change around. Meanwhile, in the Woodcote Trophy, it's still the Grant Peterkin car that has the advantage over Gregor Fiskin. The gap has opened. It's only a half a second though between them, so we've still got another little fight going on in the Woodcote Trophy, which could still change. And as we know, and in fact, yeah, Blakeney-Edwards, you told me, was in that as well. He's just managed to get through. So now Pat Blakeney-Edwards could well take the lead in the Woodcote Trophy.
Yes, he's only a second behind Mike Grant Peterkin, and we're back to Martin O'Connell still leading by some margin now, over 7 seconds lead over Roger Wills, who started the race in the lead, but it all switched around when we had the pit stops, and through on the inside goes Martin O'Connell, just making his way through slower cars. Well, that's a great shot with the rear lights rather than the headlights going down towards Cox Corner. Wonderful shot there as the darkness descends.
Yeah, the darkness descends. I have to say the cameras are always able to show it lighter than it really is when it's like this, because they just open up their light acceptance. But when I look out our windows, it is really quite dark outside now. So for the drivers, it's not easy out there now. There's not much light to
plan their approach to each and every corner. They're okay, they've tuned in, it's just gradually dipping away. And there's only 5 minutes to go in this race, so they'll be fine, they'll make it all the way to the end. But it does make life quite interesting. It looks like Martin O'Connell is certainly safe out in front with a 7-second advantage over Roger Wills. There's the number 66 car, Sam Hancock, moved up to 10th now, having lost a lot of ground earlier on after its initial start from pole position. Meanwhile, Pat Blakeney-Edwards is still getting closer and closer to a potential win in the Woodcote Trophy, running in 8th place in car number 11, but chasing down the car just ahead of Grant Peterkin in number 74. We will try and keep an eye on that battle for you, because both of these trophies are very significant to historic races. There's the Tiffany Dale car. He is in the car at the moment. You see the Tiff crash helmet.
Yes, brought that car up to 6th place overall. A little bit of damage at the back there on the right corner. Didn't notice that earlier on, whether that might be something from an earlier race, of course, that they haven't had a chance to fix, but maybe some contact earlier in the race we didn't see, as Tiffany Dell brings the car through and chasing one of the Woodcote Trophy cars. And just ahead, it looks like coming out of the gloom is the yellow Ferrari of David Cottingham.
Yeah, that's right, the Ferrari 500 TRC, which is an unusual looking Ferrari, not red, but still very distinctive. Now then, this is a key, well, that's our key leader, of course. That's Martin O'Connell in car number 2 with this healthy lead. You can look at the graphics there. His gap, and Blakeney-Edwards has moved up a place. In fact, he's gone a couple of places up, so that means he's now leading in the Woodcote Trophy race. So Pat Blakeney-Edwards has taken car number 11 and moved it up in the Cooper T38. Looks as though he's on course for the Woodcote Trophy.
That's a tremendous recovery drive from Fred Wakeman and Patrick Blakeney-Edwards, isn't it? Because Fred spun the car early on. We saw that on camera. Took him a while to get turned around and back into the traffic, but they've chipped away at it, and now they're leading the Woodcote Trophy. That's tremendous driving. As Martin O'Connell comes through with just under 3 minutes remaining, and some of the cars don't have any lights on at all. And they just sort of whisper by us and we can't see them at all.
I know, in the dark gloom it is quite a challenge, but I tell you what, Martin O'Connell is clearly a sort of driver you put out in the night time at Le Mans, because he is thoroughly enjoying himself in the darkness, in this rather slippery conditions as well. It seems to be his thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a really classy driver, Martin O'Connell, and making his way around Chapel Curve down onto the Hangar Straight. Now we'll get that long shot with the headlights coming towards us.
I bet you've seen him drive many different cars over the years, Alistair.
Absolutely, yes. I mentioned earlier I saw him win at the Spa Classic in one of Sandy's cars, the Chevron B8 that we saw in the last race in the rain. He's a real master in the rain. Just has such a light touch, as we see the number 5 car going through, which is the Stephen Jobstall, now driven by Andy Willis, the Lotus 15.
Yeah, that is in the Stirling Moss Trophy, so that's not part of the battle for the Woodcote Trophy, but still running in a good top 10 position, as we are definitely counting down. Now, I think, let's see, he's up there where O'Connell is at the moment. We may well, actually he's just completed another lap, so we are effectively on the last lap now, because we will be counting down to 0 before the checkered flag comes out. So there he is, he has just started another lap into the tightest section in car number 2 with a very healthy advantage, 9.4 seconds over Roger Wills, in second position. Third place, looks as though the podium in the Stirling Moss Trophy is still going to go the way of Rob Smith and Chris Ward in their Lister. The Brundle Pearson car a little bit further back in 4th place. Then a couple more cars in the Stirling Moss Trophy down to 6th place, but then the leading car in the Woodcote Trophy, Pat Blakeney-Edwards, in 8th place overall, and now he's opened up an advantage only just over a second over the nearest rival, the Stretton Fiskin car, which has been going well throughout, so Pat Blakeney-Edwards still can't afford to make a mistake. Meanwhile, the race leader lapping cars and going around the outside. Pretty brave to do that on a car you're not sure he's actually seen you, as the clock ticks away. And just 10 seconds before we go to 0, the checker flag will certainly be waiting for him when he comes out of club next time.
Coming up towards Copse Corner now, so about halfway round the lap, and goes through the fast right-hander. Nobody to trouble him. The different story in the Woodcote Trophy, because now it's Martin Stretton and Gregor Fiskin. Gregor Fiskin at the wheel are catching up the leaders, just less than a second between them. We can see there on the graphic, in fact, just about 0.25 of a second between them. So that's a really close battle for the second part of this race, as Martin O'Connell just scythes his way through with such confidence, doesn't he? Such confidence from these drivers as they make their way through the slower cars. Out onto the hanger straight once again, this for the last time.
I think there's been a change once again in the Woodcote Trophy. The Stretton car and Fiskin has gone back ahead of the Pat Blakeney Edwards car. So on this last lap, we're getting a change for the victory in the Woodcote Trophy. There's no change up front in the outright win, but there are still changes going on further back.
Absolutely incredible, that second race that we've had within this race. So we're looking now at Martin O'Connell coming through into Club Corner for the last time. He'll take the right-hander and cross the line to take the flag.
Here he comes out of the last corner after a very controlled, superb effort from Martin O'Connell, who comes across the line to take the victory in the Royal Automobile Club Woodcote and Stirling Moss Trophy races. Now, he's won the Stirling Moss Trophy and won the whole race outright, but the Woodcote Trophy, let's just wait and see, because the cars are coming over the line. We're still waiting for those Woodcote Trophy cars, and there we are. That's the car we think is now in second place in that group. It's the number 545 car, which there it is. You can see it in the darkness just about, which is leading the category, and I think that's going to hold on. Gregor Fiskin at the wheel at the moment, but it's still very close between them. The number 11 car is directly behind. It could still change in the last few corners, and this is for the all-important Woodcote Trophy, a prestigious victory on hand here. We don't know quite what happened to Pat Blakeney Edwards, because he was ahead a lap or so ago, but then it swapped around again. Into the last corner they come. I think Gregor Fiskin's going to do enough as long as he can get through the traffic. He's going to get a little bit held up. And it could change on the line, but also problems for Pat Blakeney Edwards. Across the line they come, and he just held on, I believe. And in fact, Sam Hancock got alongside. We couldn't really see it in the murk, but Sam Hancock got through there. But he's actually in the different category. But nonetheless, it means that Martin Stretton and Gregor Fiskin did take the win of the Woodcote Trophy. That was mighty close, all the way to the flag. Well done, guys. You all put on a tremendous show in really quite challenging conditions.